It's quite the change of scenery from the surf and sand of Daytona Beach, Florida in the east to the cactus and sand of Phoenix, Arizona in the desert southwest. After opening the season in Daytona, NASCAR Nationwide Series teams and drivers have crossed the country to another traditional stop with a new spot on the calendar. Phoenix International Raceway now hosts the second event of the year. The short track feel of this mile oval ready to produce some excitement in its own style. This track has its share of favorites. Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch have won 6 of the last 7 here between them, but there are many drivers looking to change that tune, including one who knows this upset thing really can happen. Whoever wins, let's hope the fun factor's as high as it was at that finish in Daytona last Saturday.
The green flag flies, and the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series season is green.
The combination of this car and the new pavement has opened up these 2-car drafts.
One of the guys that we thought would contend for the championship.
We're totaled, Ernie. I mean, really totaled.
Here comes Danica Patrick, and they're going after the race lead.
Patrick is going to lead. White flag is out. Here we go. Who's going to win it at Daytona?
Stewart and Castle are on the move. They are side by side for the lead.
At the stripe, Tony Stewart does it.
4 in a row, baby.
Well, that wild Daytona finish was followed a day later by another in which Trevor Bayne, all of 20 years old, placed himself on the national stage by winning the Daytona 500, driving for the famed Wood Brothers team. Despite his tender age, what a win for the ages it was. Who'll win today here at Phoenix International Raceway, the mile oval just to the southwest of downtown, where race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season goes green in just a short while. You can figure that a whole lot more of the fans filing into the track today will be following Bayne in this race, especially the young ladies. It's not the Bieber factor, but the Bayne factor at work. No Bieber or Bayne factor, but we do have the Brad factor.
There you go, baby.
Inside the ESPN studio.
Heartthrob to heartthrob.
A little different haircut, but otherwise a remarkable resemblance. There we are, just outside of Turn 2 here in the Valley of the Sun. And welcome to NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick with Rusty Wallace and Big Brad Daugherty. Daytona, the Nationwide Series race, the 500, the first race of the season. What got you fired up about last week?
Everything. There was just so much hype. I mean, we haven't seen this hype, Brad, in a long, long time. Yeah. I mean, no doubt about one thing. On Monday, it was water cooler talk all across the United States about last week's races, the 300 to 500. We got a new winner. It was just awesome. I mean, I can't wait to this week now.
And now the transition from that season opening day feel of Daytona into the heart of the season here at Phoenix. Why is or is not that transition difficult to make?
Oh, it's not difficult because now we're going back to what these guys do best, what they started doing, short track racing, wheel to wheel, fender to fender, door to door, where the driver himself has an input into how this race finishes. Physically as well as mechanically, they both have to mesh to get a win on a short track.
Driver introductions ongoing. Quick mention here, we are in the Valley of the Sun, but there is the possibility of a shower in the forecast. We should be good for the whole 200-lap distance today, but we'll be keeping an eye on the radar to keep you posted. The forecast calls for temperatures in the low 70s, a 10% chance of a scattered shower there. A few things popping up here and there on the radar, and as I mentioned, we'll keep an eye on that as we go throughout the day. We are closing in on the start of race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. There is one of the favorites for the day, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman in the field as well. A lot more stories to talk to you about as the first race for the next generation car of the NASCAR Nationwide Series at this track unfolds. We'll talk more about the Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne next on NASCAR Countdown.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
Certainly one of the featured players in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race will be the driver of that car and that man, Trevor Bayne, the Daytona 500 winner, who certainly introduced himself to a lot of folks last Sunday, but he's part of this young generation that's been racing for a long time, in his case, since age 5. Wow. He's got a few karting championships, a title in the Allison Legacy Car Short Track Series, and he's been in this Nationwide Series for most of the past 2 seasons. He's still looking for his first win in this series. The elements of that Daytona 500 story. A young little-known driver, one of the sport's most storied teams that had fallen on hard times, winning the sport's biggest race together. Certainly worth taking a moment and reliving again.
We're just about set to finally go racing here in 2011.
The Daytona 500 is different than most races. It's just got a mystique about it. You can't really put it into words.
Trevor Bayne making his first start for the Wood brothers.
The Wood brothers are definitely an example of the way you should do things, the way you should treat people, the right way of doing whatever it is you do. It doesn't even have to be racing.
One of the feel-good stories of the week so far has been young Trevor Bayne.
Trevor's one of them people that when he walks into a room, things get better, lighter, brighter.
He has a good heart. He's just a nice kid.
Before the start of the race, I went to him and had him hold his hand straight out. Not one finger twitched. This kid is solid for his first Daytona 500.
I would have been happy with the top 15. I really would have. Obviously, we come to every race to win it. We want to do that, but that's not our expectations.
Trevor Bayne becomes the leader of the Daytona 500.
And all of a sudden, the green was out.
We just got to go like hell here when this thing comes out.
3 miles away from a win at Daytona, Trevor Bayne leads the field off turn number 4.
I've never experienced adrenaline like that before. No matter what I was doing, what action sport, backflips on a wakeboard, whatever, you get that pump, but this was like an adrenaline that was overwhelming.
Young Trevor Bayne driving for his life on the final lap of the Daytona 500. Here comes Carl Edwards. He's got momentum. David Gilliland giving him a shove to the inside of Labonte. Now Trevor Bayne will cross over the final time off 4.
I never expected to win. Everything had gone too perfect the whole race, for it to keep going that way.
Trevor Bayne playing defense. He's out in front at age 20. He's going to win the 53rd Daytona 500.
Everybody likes to see new stars be born. We watched that happen with Trevor.
Trevor Bayne gets the win for the Wood brothers.
It's been so long since we won a race. It just felt like, okay, now we're back a part of the sport.
Leonard Wood, one of the pioneers of NASCAR racing. He's going to run out and celebrate.
Am I dreaming right now?
Just to see the glow in his eyes, the big smile, and you're put back into 1976 again with a new kid, new car, but same racetrack. It's just like it was a time warp. It's just like everybody had a reunion, and then to top it off, you get lucky and win the race.
The Wood brothers, they represent the fans that have been around the grassroots part of this racing a long, long time, mixed with this new kid, first time at Daytona. That's how dreams happen.
To me, it's the biggest race that we've ever won or been a part of, ever.
I knew where victory lane was, but I was just taking it in and waving and so excited that I just passed right by it and had to back up and turn in, but we'll definitely get a direct path to victory lane next time.
Pretty fun stuff. Trevor Bayne winning NASCAR's biggest race at age 20 prompted us to think about some other athletes who were youngest to win in other sports. How about Big Ben Roethlisberger, a Super Bowl winning quarterback at the age of 23?
That's outstanding, and he's still doing it today.
Little racing turn here, Rusty. Indianapolis 500, Troy Ruttman, age 22.
Oh, yeah, man. When I was growing up, I heard all about this guy. It was a great story, him winning the 500, and the great family, big racing tradition in this family.
Tiger in the Masters in 97.
Boy, I tell you, one of the greatest golfers of all time. Outstanding 1997 Masters win.
21 years old at that time. Magic Johnson, just 20 years old when he was the MVP of the NBA Finals in 1980.
Played center in those NBA Finals, and if I'd have been playing, he wouldn't have won it, but it's still an incredible accomplishment.
I thought that was you, Brad.
And Martina Hingis, the youngest to win a singles title in a tennis Grand Slam. She won the Australian Open at age 16 in 1997. General reaction from most people, Trevor seems like a nice, well-spoken kid. He is. By the way, the question most frequently asked this week from young females is, does he have a girlfriend? What was your reaction to his win, Rusty?
My reaction was, oh my gosh, I can't believe this 20-year-old kid just won this big race at Daytona 500, a race that everybody in the world tries to, only a few can. But the other reaction, Alan, was, man, the sport really needed this. I mean, it was a great thing for the sport. And the other thing, this kid did not just luck up and win this race. Yeah. He qualified well. He ran good in the 150s. He obviously won the Daytona 500. He even earned it. He earned it at age 20. It was just an unbelievable story that I said earlier is water cooler talk that we'll still talk about for a long time.
After making media appearances from coast to coast and meeting a lot of people and getting to do a lot of neat things, Bain had to come back to the racetrack on Friday and begin practice and qualifying in both his Nationwide and Sprint Cup Series cars. Reality set in quickly when a brake locked up on him in the opening Sprint Cup Series practice. It got into the wall, and they had to go to the backup car.
Yeah, he went out there and tagged the wall pretty hard early in practice, and it was somewhat of a reality check, but I'm still saying this young man belongs in the Nationwide Series. That's where he needs to develop. That was just a bad day. It'll go away.
With the new rules allowing a driver only to earn points in one series, Bain declared before the season he would compete for the Nationwide Championship. Spoke to Eddie Wood, co-owner of the Wood Brothers team, just before we went on the air a little while ago. He said that plan hasn't changed at this point. Trevor is still registered to earn points in the Nationwide Series. Your reaction to that?
Oh, I think that's absolutely the appropriate approach for this young man. He needs to race in this Nationwide Series, garner some wins, garner seat time and experience, and let the progression take itself through, the phases he needs to go to cup level. He does not need to jump into the cup level right now.
Brad, I can absolutely understand how it would be very, very tempting to do that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, after you win the Daytona 500, hey, man, let's jump into the big point system and try to get it done. But you know what? I mean, this was a great young man, a great win for him in the 500. But let's get honest now. This is a very, very tough sport. His main focus needs to be the Nationwide Series. I'm glad he's made a decision to do that, because in my mind, if he'd have jumped over in Cup, hey, man, this could have really screwed up his career.
Experience.
Note the white uniform. No sponsor on this Nationwide Series car for the Daytona 500 winner today. This is the last race on this track's current surface and this exact layout. By the time we come back here in November, the track will be repaved and reconfigured. In fact, if our pit studio sits in November where it is right now, we're going to be on the backstretch.
Catching a ride, baby.
Yeah. A couple drivers would probably rather not see those changes. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards have won 6 of the last 7 Nationwide Series races at this track, including both of last year's. Last April, Kyle Busch had a NASCAR penalty for jumping a restart, stormed back through the field in the final laps to score the win. And then last November, Carl Edwards led 3/4 of the race to take the win. The two drivers have qualified on the front row for today. Let's hear from them, starting with Dave Burns.
And just walking up to Carl's white number 60 right now, that Ford Mustang that he'd like to put in victory lane here today before they change this place on you, where you've been so successful. 4 wins here, best all time in the Nationwide Series. How do we do it in the early race, though? It's been about November for you here in this team. How do we do it today?
We've got to get by Kyle first. He's really fast, and we fortunately have a screaming fast Ford Mustang here, and we've got Ford on the car. It's Ford Drive 1 with the Mustang on the back and Fastenal's on board, and just came off an awesome lap in the Subway Ford Fusion.
You're the pole sitter for the Cup race.
Yes, that's big. It's important because Subway's sponsoring the race, so that was a really, really big deal for us. And this race is so much fun, though. These Nationwide cars are a blast here, and I'm hoping that we can get another win. This place is so great to me, and it means a lot to win here. It's such a tough racetrack.
He dominated last fall. He starts second today. Vince Welch.
Well, a year ago in the Nationwide Series, teams in the garage thought that when these guys were racing the new car that maybe the Joe Gibbs teams were a little bit vulnerable. That's not the case anymore. You guys have really gone to work in the winter to get this new car, get their arms around it. In your opinion, from the driver's seat, where's been the big improvement with this new car?
I think just the time that we've had to spend on it and kind of get used to the way that it reacts and the way that it does things differently than the old cars. So Jason and the guys have done a really nice job over the winter. A lot of work goes to those guys, all 3 crew chiefs that got together and put their heads together and been able to work through the rules and what we can do and stuff. So, we didn't concentrate on it a whole lot last year. We knew it was 4 races. We knew it would be important, but not that big a deal. We were still chasing the Owners' Championship with the old car. So over the winter, the guys put a full court press on it, and they did a great job. So the Interstate Batteries Camry's fast thus far today and qualified on the pole. So look forward to what we have in store here today. Hopefully it's a good, solid run, and if we reach our potential, we should be in victory lane.
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle Busch, he won this race in the spring last year, won the truck race last night, starts from the pole today. Doc?
Well, Vince, what happened with Trevor Bain last week at Daytona has spurred a lot of young drivers to believe that first breakthrough win is just around the corner, like this guy here, Joe Gibbs Racing driver Brian Scott. And Brian, what's the key for you to get that breakthrough win to victory lane here today?
Well, first, Dr. Punch, I got to tell you, happy anniversary. Congratulations to you and your wife. And second, it'll be just beating the Cup guys that we're all starting around. I think if I can pass them and get to the checkered flag before them, I think I can get that breakout win.
Hey, good luck today.
Thank you.
Brian Scott rolls off 5th. Alan?
All right, Doc, new car on this track for the first time, but teams are still trying to accomplish the same thing, a balanced, well-handling car. We talk more about that with champion crew chief Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim?
You're right, Alan. It is a balance because aerodynamics, the rear spoiler, the front air dam, but you have to take the driver's input into all your equations. But we've got the ballast. You can slide it up and down the frame rails, forward and aft. Shock absorbers to ensure a good ride. Springs, they're essential to getting the car down in the front. The sway bar, anti-sway bar in the front, it affects the roll of the car. But the rear spoiler and the front air dam, that's going to create downforce, and you have to change directions, meaning cornering. Everything's an asset here in Phoenix.
Tim, thanks. What's it going to take to get that well-balanced car through 200 laps on this Phoenix Mile? And can anybody stop Kyle and Carl? We find out next.
The path to racing prowess rises from the small towns of America. It is born in the dreams of drivers testing their will on local tracks for a chance of becoming one of the greatest in the world. Ambition is awakened in those moments. Every small victory, a glimpse of the dream, as they become what they were meant to be. Local tracks clocking miles of hope, 4 left turns, and a cloud of glory. In the heartlands of America, where legendary drivers have cut their teeth, steering out of obscurity into one of racing's grandest arenas.
Trevor Bayne at age 20, he's going to win the Daytona 500.
Young guns looking to prove their worth. Veterans pressing to realize their destiny once again. The fortitude to recapture that small-town local track spirit. To push themselves beyond the boundaries of a childhood fantasy. Down the only victory lane that has ever mattered. Today, their road to glory starts on a 1-mile track long on dreams.
That 1-mile track is Phoenix International Raceway, where many racing legends have graced victory lane over 48 years. In a moment, young hopefuls take on today's racing stars, looking for the chance to claim that moment of glory against the toughest competition. Time to go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Please rise and remove your hats as the Marine Corps Recruiting Station from Phoenix presents our nation's colors. Please welcome Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers as he offers today's invocation.
Father, thank you for allowing us to be with you today for the excitement and the spirit at PIR. Only one life will soon be passed. Only what's done for the Lord will last. Father, we ask your protection upon the racing today. These things we ask in your name, and everyone said, Amen.
Please welcome Broken Bow Records recording artist from Nashville, Tennessee, James Wesley, as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Time for the drivers to climb aboard. Someone else to watch today, Kevin Harvick. He's finished second the last 3 straight Nationwide Series races at this track. Maybe one better for Happy? We find out next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.